This layout looks fine until I try to resize it. Or I add one word, boom, it explodes. If your UI keeps breaking on your mobile design or with a tiny content change, it's probably not your design, it's your layout logic. Hi, I'm Rishika. I'm a product designer and a creator. So let's keep going now. In this video, I will show you how I stopped guessing and started thinking structurally using auto layout to solve real layout problems one by one. Problem 1. Elements feel randomly spaced. Okay, so here's something that drives me absolutely crazy when I see it in design. I have got these three cards here and I'm just eyeballing the space between them, dragging things around manually until it looks about right. See, 16 pixels here, maybe 18 there, so close enough, right? But then the moment I need to move one of these cards, now I have got inconsistent spacing everywhere and I'm back to playing the guessing game. Here's the thing that changed my design life: auto layout. I'm just going to select all three cards, wrap them in a horizontal auto layout frame, and set the spacing to exactly 16 pixels. Look at that. They space themselves perfectly, and when I move them around, the spacing stays locked. Key insight. This is honestly where you should start with every layout. Auto layout gives you that consistent flow, whether it's horizontal like this or vertical for a list. Trust me, fix this first before even you think about anything else. Problem 2. Layout breaks on smaller screens. Alright, so the spacing looks great on desktop, but now let me resize this for mobile. And oh no, this is painful to watch. Everything's getting cut off, elements are disappearing off the edge. It's a complete disaster. Now, this used to be where I did start creating separate mobile versions for everything. But Figma added this game changing feature in 2024 called Wrap, and honestly, it's been a lifesaver. Watch this. I'm turning on Wrap in the auto layout settings, and now instead of everything cramming together and breaking, the layout intelligently flows to the next line. It's like having responsive design built right into your components. Key insight. If you have ever used CSS Flexbox, this is basically FlexWrap, but way more intuitive. Your designs can actually breathe and adapt instead of just breaking. Problem 3. Layout feels too tight or too empty. You know that feeling when you look at a design and something just feels off? Like either everything's way too cramped together or it feels like there's this awkward empty space everywhere. It's a padding issue. See how tight everything feels in this card? The text is practically touching the edges. So I'm going to add some breathing room, 24 pixels on the top and bottom and 16 on the sides. And just like that, everything feels more balanced and professional. Key insight. Here's a rule that will save you so much of confusion. Spacing is the gap between elements and padding is the space inside the container. I used to mix these up all the time and it made my layouts unpredictable. Problem 4. Resizing messes up content. Okay, here's where things get interesting. I have got this button that looks perfect and I wanted to add a little icon to make it more engaging. And everything breaks. The text is overflowing, the background isn't adjusting. It's like the button has no idea what to do with this new content. This is where understanding hug, fill, and fix becomes more crucial. Let me break this down because once you get this, everything clicks. Think of it this way: hug means adjust to fit whatever's inside me, like a sweater that fits perfectly no matter how much you eat. Fill means stretch to take up all the available space, like water filling a container. Fixed means stay exactly this size no matter what, like a picture frame. For this button, I wanted to hug the content. So when I add the icon, the button grows to accommodate it. But for something like a sidebar, I did want it to fill the available space. The key is asking yourself, when the content changes or the screen size changes, what should this element actually do? Don't just randomly pick options. Problem 5. Floating elements in a flow. Here's a scenario that I want to add this notification badge to my icon. Like a little red dot that shows unread messages. But when I try to put it where I want, it pushes everything else around. The auto layout is trying to be helpful by making space for it, but that's not what I want. The solution: absolute positioning. I am enabling absolute position for this batch, and now I can place it exactly where I want, floating over the icon without messing up the layout flow underneath. Key insight. Here's the thing about absolute positioning. Only use it for elements that need to be visually detached from the normal flow. Things like badges, overlays, floating action buttons, stuff that should hover over your layout, not to be part of it. Problem 6. Frame resizes weirdly. Alright, the final boss level problem. I'm resizing this parent frame to see how responsive my design is. And the children are doing weird things. Some are sticking to the left, others are floating in the middle. It's like they can't decide what they want to do. This is where auto layout and constraints need to work together. Auto layout is handling the flow and spacing, which is great. But constraints are what tell each element to behave when things change. So I'm setting constraints to say, hey, this element should stay anchored to the left edge, or this one should stretch with the frame. When you combine proper auto layout with smart constraints, that's when you get truly responsive designs. Key insight. Think of auto layout as the traffic cop managing the flow, and constraints as the individual GPS telling each element where it needs to end up. You need to both working together for layouts that actually behave the way you expect them to. Auto layout started making sense when I stopped asking what tool do I need to use and started asking what behavior do I need this layout to do. Do I want to grow it with the content, wrap on mobile, or keep even spaces between the elements? Let those questions guide your tools, not the other way around. Once you think in layout logic instead of pixel perfect control, your UI stops breaking. So if your design still breaks on resize or feels too manual, set back and rethink the structure. Use auto layout only where it solves a real problem, and that's when the things finally clicks. Like this breakdown? Drop a like and hit subscribe. And if there's a layout issue you keep on running into, let me know in comments. And I will see you in the next one.